Hi, everyone. It's another Beatles day, as you can see. And continuing with the revolver, as I said, I've kind of changed the format a little bit with this album and going forward. And so I am not going to read a single thing before I listen for the first time. I don't even have the name of the song on my screen or anywhere, so I have no clue what I'm going to be hearing until I actually hear it. And then, of course, after I listen to it once, then I will read a few things that Vlad has collected for me to give me a little more background, the who, the why, the what, the where, the when, anything that seems relevant and that he's able to come up with and give to me. So that's how it's going to be this morning again. And as you can see this morning, this drink is, I guess I could call it maybe a Beatles tonic. I don't know if I can quite call it English since I'm not in England, but Beatles is good enough for me, for us. So let's get started listening and we'll go from there.
When I wake up early in the morning.
I love it. What should I say first? Okay. Let's start with the surprising. Who would have imagined that a song that so perfectly expresses and conveys and makes you feel this state of lounging in bed, sleeping, half awake, kind of dizzy. Who would have imagined that a song like that would have the drums playing such a significant role in the entire thing? I mean, who thinks of a drum set when you're lying in bed, really? Unless you're a drummer or dreaming of becoming a drummer. But sleeping with the drums, but it works and it's so good. Okay, secondly, as I said, this feels like the embodiment of that state where you don't want to be disturbed. Please don't wake me. Please don't shake me. As most of you know, I'm a new-ish mother. I've spent the last year and some months with a little girl, and I have had plenty of short nights, and this feels so familiar. Oh, one morning where I can actually, she's out with her dad or she's sleeping late on one of those rare occasions. Please don't wake me. Please don't shake me. I'm only sleeping. And I don't want to disturb that lying, staring at the ceiling. What else I don't have the lyrics in front of me. I'm just repeating what comes to mind. Such a great song. It feels like they cut the essence of the place, the time, the mood. It almost makes me feel kind of dizzy, sleepy as I'm sitting here. Well, I better stay awake because I have some things to read, and then we're going to go back and dig up all sorts of little fun things along the way. So let's get started.
Who's singing?
Oh boy. See, if I'm going to play these guessing games, I need to be paying attention to those things as I'm listening because I just get lost in the song and how am I supposed to think about who's singing? Anyway, let me think here. Well, it's kind of done in a sort of different style, meaning the things that would make me think of Lennon don't really exist in this song. McCartney, don't know. I'm not going to try it this time.
Okay, it's
I'm not.
Lennon.
It's Lennon. Okay.
What's the title of the song?
Oh, well, what could it be? Maybe I'm only sleeping? Pretty obvious, am I right?
Yes.
Okay. They went for the obvious this time. Okay, let me read. So this is number 59 in the 150 series that I'm undertaking. The genre is psychedelic rock. I guess it kind of fits. The description kind of fits. The Beatles were the first at a lot of things, especially in regard to recording techniques. Easily becoming bored in the studio, they were eager to try new things. One of these was recording guitar backwards, which they did in 1966 with the song I'm Only Sleeping. Is that how they got that funny little zing sound in the guitar? I was noticing that, and I was thinking how it just adds such a nice element to the song. In 1972, John told Hit Parader magazine that he wrote I'm Only Sleeping himself, adding in a 1980 interview, "That's me dreaming my life away," thus quoting his current recording, Watching the Wheels. Okay, I just listened to Watching the Wheels a couple days ago. The song was written and arranged in one writing session, co-written, but from John's original idea. So claims Barry Miles in his book Many Years From Now, which also relates more details of the inspiration. He states, often Paul would be John's morning alarm call. Paul would drive at midday or the early afternoon and wake him up, which was where John got the idea for I'm Only Sleeping. Yeah, it comes from. It sounds like it just. Well, to write a song like that, you have to know what it feels like. Claiming his collaboration on the song, Paul himself explains, "One day, I led the dance, like paperback writer, and another day, John would lead the dance, like I'm Only Sleeping. It was nice. We weren't really competitive as to who started the song." Mark Lewison, in his book The Beatles Recording Sessions, explained further about this practice as one of the new recording techniques they began early in 1965, saying they would rehearse songs with a tape machine running, spooling back to record properly over the rehearsed material. In fact, this particular tape had been recorded on and then reused for new material several times. EMI was concerned at the time with the expense of each spool of tape, some master tapes even being recycled for use by other artists, as in the case of George Martin's orchestral recording of Ticket to Ride, being recorded over by Pink Floyd for the track Eclipse on their album The Dark Side of the Moon. Really? So, I don't know, I guess I feel so differently about, I don't know, keeping backups, keeping data, keeping documentation if you're that big, that famous, and you're putting work into something, EMI has so much invested in it themselves. It seems incredibly careless to me, but okay. I wonder how expensive one of those tape spools actually was. I'd be curious to find out. Well, let's go back through and have some fun digging into this piece.
When I wake up early in the morning.
Isn't that such a brash, uncomfortable opening? And as John, Vlad tells me it's John, starts singing, even his voice is kind of, it's painful. It's like somebody has just jolted you out of sleep, maybe thrown a bucket of cold water on you or something. It has this jarring, abrupt feel. Well, as I said, it's a great song, and right from the beginning, we get this feeling of, I've been pulled out of some activity, something that I was really enjoying doing. Sleeping.
When I wake up early in the morning.
It makes me want to duck for cover every time.
When I wake up early in the morning.
But I'm still yawning. it has this, well, okay. Let's just start working in small detail. We start out with this brash, jarring. It's almost like one of those old-fashioned alarm clocks that has the little hammer that flies back and forth. Oh, I hated being wakened by one of those when I was a kid. Oh, and I had one. I guess that's what settled me in my lifelong dislike of being wakened by an alarm. I still hate it. Doesn't matter how nice the alarm is. I hate being wakened by an alarm. Probably goes back to that traumatizing shaking of a bell and hammering of the bell. That's how this opening feels. It's that sort of, it hurts. It's painful. It'll put anybody in a sour mood if you have to wake up that way. As usual, I'm keeping my eyes open for melodic and harmonic details that are relevant. I'm not going to dig into every little thing along the way. This is not a theoretical analysis, but just noticing what are the things that give this piece its character. And so this opening is one of them. This is what sets us off. And I'm also noticing this piece is in a strange key for guitar. You see all those flats there, all those funny little designs I've circled. There are 6 of them, which means we are in the key of E flat minor. E flat minor. Our relative major is G flat major. That means G flat, A flat, B flat, C flat, D flat, E flat, F natural, and then of course back to G flat. Those are the notes we are working with. And from the little bit I've learned of guitar along the way, okay, I know you can put a capo on the strings and place it, set your key that way. But what I just read about the Beatles experimenting with recording techniques, it didn't go into detail about what recording techniques other than the backwards guitar, but I'm kind of guessing that perhaps what they did in the studio may have changed the key a bit. I really doubt that this was performed in the key of E flat minor. So that's just a comment because knowing that they were manipulating the recording so much in the studio, I'm thinking especially of Strawberry Fields Forever and my exposure to that piece very early in this journey. This feels like kind of the same idea, maybe not quite so extreme in pitch change and all, but I feel like this is really, it's changed a lot in the process. And listening to John's voice here, which Vlad tells me is John's voice. Yes, I can hear now that I was told. I can say, yeah, okay, that's John's voice, but it doesn't quite have the sound that I associate with him, which is why I was so uncomfortable making a guess. It didn't quite sound right. Again, I suspect that there is some studio manipulation going on, which might have given him a little bit different vocal sound in the end. So, all of that. Let's listen to this melody now.
When I wake up early in the morning.
You notice what's happening immediately. Okay, when I wake up early in the morning. Okay, we're not really paying attention to the melody there anyway. It's just, it's the alarm clock feel that's important in that moment. But then, lift my head. It's kind of a lift and drop it down again. I can't get myself awake. And then I'm still yawning. And you can hear the yawn in that little arpeggio. I'm still yawning. Oh, I feel like I need to yawn. That's the effect it has. And then it just elides straight back into this when I'm in the middle of a
I'm still yawning.
and this, which was I'm still yawning. Now it stays at the top. Float upstream. And so it's the rising, floating upstream. Great little touches. And if we start digging out all the melodic elements, let's look at another thing about the score, which is catching my eye here. All right. So we have this little melodic fragment, this little lift my head business, and I'm still yawning. If we look at what else is going on, okay, there's a bit of guitar stuff here, quite a bit of drums and bass. As I said, who would imagine that drums could be such an important part of painting a picture of sleeping? Anyway, it works. It gives it kind of this clunky dum da dum ba dum ba dum ba dum. It's kind of pulling things down, putting them, making sure they don't rush. There's this little bit of ploddy element, which gives a, dare I say this, a feeling of pillows, down comforter, maybe a little bit of a lumpy mattress. It's just there, and we don't really pay attention to it much, but it creates the bed on which we lie, so to speak, musically, and it's great. But you notice there's not a lot else going on here for such a long time. Okay, we've got a little bit of, oh, this is a second time only, we don't even have that yet. So we're going through here, there's just not a lot. And so then if we start looking at the melody, we have these three, the straight line, the lift my head, and the I'm still yawning. It comes the exact same thing again. Straight line, now it's stay in bed, but lift my head. And then float upstream is almost I'm still yawning. That gets us through, I guess we'd say the first verse of this. At least the first section. I haven't even paid attention to where it's verse, where it's chorus. But we have a double bar here, so we've got another section division coming up. There's just such a little handful of stuff happening in this. And every little element works so well as a descriptor for the, as a color on the canvas that we're painting this picture.
Stay in bed.
So we have this little bit. That's little melodic fragment 1. Number 2. 3. And now we have this one. Please don't wake me, no, don't shake me, leave me where I am. If I were to break that down and say, okay, what are we using? Just that much, and it simply repeats. 4. Think of the small little musical sound bites that are filling out this entire song. Well, okay. We've got those little backing vocals, and they're placed in the perfect spot. I love it. And we have this. And it's as if we're just kind of in this dizzy state, and this is the voice of, I don't want to wake up. Don't wake me. Don't disturb me. I just need to sit here with my head swirling. Turn my head back over on the pillow. And behind all of this, the texture of the blankets, the bedding. It's great. Okay. And then this, I'm only sleeping. And everything stops. It's as if the band itself is nodding off. And this bass comes in, dee-dee, beep, beep, as if we see the last head just drop down. It's so descriptive, colorful, vivid imagery. And I guess that's what had me smiling so big in my first listen, is this. This is great. Think they're crazy. We hear crazy at the peak. I don't mind. Think they're crazy. And yes, I just recently listened to Lennon's Watching the Wheels. And now that I read the kind of the comment that he made about this song here, I'm Only Sleeping, is me. And then he quoted Watching the Wheels. In other words, this is full of Lennon's humor as well. Because this is Lennon saying, look, guys, I'm at the top of the world. I am part of one of the, perhaps the biggest, most successful band of the time. And, you know, if you're telling me I'm lazy, okay, was it McCartney that had to go wake him up? Okay, that's one of his buddies, so fair enough. But his comment later about, this is me, people criticizing him for being lazy, for not, I don't know. I get the feeling that Lennon is really a brilliant guy, was really a brilliant guy, that he did work hard, but it's a sort of person, the sort of artistic personality where he needs a bit of space. He needs that relaxation, that blank slate in order for his creativity to have room to work. And at the same time, he manages to give off this vibe of, I really don't care, and you know, I'm out to have fun, whatever. So everybody's like, come on, man, dig in, do some work, show up, get it done. And he's, oh, I was successful. What are you talking to me about? I'd live life the way I want. Well, I suppose anybody who wants to criticize Lennon for choosing how to live his life needs to go do what he did first. So it feels like it's full of that sort of ironic humor. At the same time, this, of course, came a long time before Watching the Wheels. And I hear as well in this the very ordinary real-life experience of, okay, he slept until midday, afternoon. McCartney has to go rouse him, say, come on, let's go get some work done. Let's go, whatever we're going to do, record, practice. This very ordinary habit that he has. Some people just aren't morning people. Obviously, he wasn't one of them. A little bit of guitar there. Dee, 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 dee. Is that backward guitar? I like the way it goes dee, 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 and has this little flip upwards at the end, like a little tail sticking up. Dee, 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 dee. And then it cuts off. And it's playing along with such a speed as if we're watching someone launch off a speed ramp or you know, this idea of taking off. But then it's cut off immediately, kind of like Lennon, the Beatles saying, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. That's everybody else, but let's just cut this here because this is not what's happening. These guitar bits here. they feel like just dizzy. There's no need.
Till they find
Isn't it great? Okay.
and after all.
And this line. Please don't spoil my day. I'm miles away. I'm only sleeping. I can imagine him when McCartney drives up, walks in, bangs on the door, whatever his habit was. Oh, why did you have to come all the way over here to wake me up? I'm miles away and I'm just sleeping. I mean, can you just let me do my thing? I'm only sleeping. It's not a big deal. I'm only sleeping. Well, I should comment also on something other than the drums, because the drums are what strike me as the perhaps most unexpected yet incredibly important element of this song. The bass, though, is great too, and this swing, this swung rhythm is giving us this feeling of sort of this lazy heaviness. Da dum bum bum, dee 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 dee, ba dum bum bum, and it's a very critical element of this as well. Really, everything is. The guitar. You've just heard a few snippets of it so far. I remember it came more a bit later, so maybe I'll save my comments on that until we get to it.
Lying there and staring at the ceiling.
Now he's a little bit wakeful, but still in no hurry to go anywhere and do anything. Just waiting for the sleepy feeling to return. This piece kind of wanders a bit. At the beginning, we were being jolted awake. We've been begging to be left alone because we can hardly lift our head. We can hardly keep our eyes open. We just keep dropping back. And now, a little bit more wakeful. This is more like, I'm living life the way I want to. I don't feel like doing anything but lounge in bed. So I'm going to lie here comfortably and wait for that sleepy feeling to come. It's a little bit of a different scenario, isn't it? But then this guitar comes in with that sleepy feeling, and it caught me the first time I heard it. With that sleepy feeling. In fact, if I were to describe it anything other than a sleepy feeling, you know how cats like to knead with their paws, and there's always this feeling of they press and then they pull away, press and pull away. It's never quite right, never quite enough to be, I don't know, a satisfying sensation, at least for me. A cat kneading on me, it makes me a bit, I want it to go somewhere. I want it to do something. I want it to, like, press in and then walk away. Instead, he's just press. And if I were to describe in some other way this guitar sound, it's kind of like that. It's just this little press and escape. Press and escape. I guess that's the backwards guitar. I'm a bit taken in by it.
Taking my time.
I guess that is the most flexible. Well, of course. If this is being played backwards, he had to really work on practicing this and figure out how he wanted it to sound in reverse, and then play it the reverse of that, this mirror image effect. But it sounds good. It sounds nice. And it has this intangible quality to it. I just can't quite take hold of it. But there's a flexibility, and one of the things I notice about the harmonies of this piece, there is just a bit of a blues influence, but it doesn't stick in your face. This piece is such a I can't even say portrait. It's such a because portrait is only 2D. We're going more 3D here. Even more than 3D, because we're feeling, we're not just looking at, we're feeling, and we're being brought into this sleepy feeling, and it's wrapping around us like a blanket, and we get lost here. And well, I could go take a nap after this song. Maybe I should play this song for Liesel when she has trouble going to sleep. I wonder how that would do. Whatever that is in the background, is it their voices? Oh. It's almost like it's a yawn or somebody starting to snore or something. I wonder who came up with. Was that Lennon fooling around in the background? Or was that one of the other guys saying, "All right, let's really ham it up here"? And these drum strikes, they just kind of crash at these random moments. Like somebody's just banged into your bed just when you were getting comfortable, and here we go again. And it's kind of like, you know, the world is fading away, and I'm waving goodbye to you. I'm closing my eyes, pulling the blinds. I'm just going to drift off into this sleep again. Sorry, McCartney, you weren't successful this time rousing him. Well, if I am going to be perfectly honest with you, maybe I feel like it's time for me to go to sleep. I do. In a way, this was a really challenging piece to get through because it has such a powerful effect. And I guess that to me is the most exciting, the most the most interesting and great part of this piece. Okay, it's fun to notice the humor. It's fun to notice the recording effects, the backwards guitar. It's fun to pick the little elements apart and say, "Oh, look, there's just this little bit and this little bit," and they made this whole wonderful space, musical space out of it. But for me, the greatest part is the powerful effect it has. And there were several times when I literally had to resist yawning in front of the camera. Yeah, I guess the Beatles have nailed it. They have it figured out. They know how to not just spark your imagination. They have figured out how to get you to feel what it is they want you to feel. You feel the sleepy feeling. It makes you ready to just go crawl under the blankets and go to sleep. It has such a powerful effect. And it's just music. I want to say it's just music because you didn't take any sleeping pill. You didn't take anything to, give you this sleepy feeling. No melatonin for those of you who like to use melatonin. It's just the Beatles. Dealing with insomnia? Try this song next time. Let me know how it goes. I'll see you soon.